Welcome to the Fellowship Podcast, a place where we get to know the people who make up the Baptist Bible Fellowship. In each episode, we sit down with pastors, missionaries, and ministry leaders from across our fellowship to hear their stories, their ministry journey, and a few lessons they've learned along the way. Our goal is simple: to connect leaders, share stories, and strengthen the mission. And now, here's your host, Randy Harp. Let's join the conversation.
Well, welcome to our next edition of the Fellowship Podcast. Excited for you to join us today. As a reminder, this podcast, we have three goals really: is connecting leaders, sharing stories, and strengthening our mission as a fellowship. And I'm excited. We're in a series right now where we're featuring on the podcast all of the speakers for the September 2025 National Fellowship Meeting. And I'm excited to have Blake Housley with us this morning. He's going to be speaking Tuesday morning. Blake's a brand new pastor. Actually, at the time of this recording, their church hasn't even officially launched yet, but he's in the works of it. And I'm excited about him speaking in the meeting and excited about him being on our podcast. Blake, welcome.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
Hey, take just a second. You've been around the fellowship really, I think, your whole life. But for guys that are listening that may not know you as well, take just a second, kind of introduce yourself, maybe where you grew up.
I've been connected with the fellowship in one way or the other really since I've been born, mainly because my dad was a youth pastor at a church in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was a fellowship church. So I was born in Cincinnati, only there till I was about 5. So don't remember a ton about Cincinnati. But then we moved to Springfield, where he became an associate pastor at Parkcrest Baptist Church in Springfield. So I grew up there, great connection with a great church. And then when I was 15, he became a lead pastor of a church in Topeka, Kansas called Eastside Baptist Church. And then when I graduated high school, moved back to Springfield to join Mission University, graduated from there. And my first job as well, right there in Springfield at Parkcrest. And so I've been involved in the fellowship in one way or another for a long time.
So you've been in a minister's family, a pastor's kid, your whole life. Who were some of the early influencers in your life, or people that maybe you looked up to? I know your dad and other family, but anybody else that stands out to you?
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's family for sure, my parents, but outside of that, I think the unique part about growing up in Springfield and being a part of a fellowship church is you have a lot of ministry students in town, and so there were a lot of ministry students that came through Parkcrest and served in our student ministry. So I actually had a different youth pastor just about every year that I was there. So people like Sean and Carly Peters, Ernest and Deborah Parker, Paul and Tina Ebert, Scott and Joy Harrop. And then when I moved to Topeka, Chris and Cassie Housewright also jumped in. So I feel like I've really taken something from all of them. Very thankful for their investment as youth pastors in my life. And I would say outside of my family, it's been those youth pastors.
So that is a different. I mean, well, you know the statistics for youth pastors; they come and go pretty quick. But that's probably an extreme having that many. What would be a benefit of getting to know and have so many different youth pastors in as growing up in youth ministry?
Yeah, I think at the moment I didn't find it as beneficial because it was always a bummer. You got connected with them and they were just great people and invested in you, and then they took off. So, but now just having a long-term friendship relationship with those individuals, especially now even being a church planner, having people that are now a part of helping launch Journey Church in Nashville. And so I keep a good relationship with most of them and stay involved and connected with them, not only from the church plant, but just as friends and investment. So yeah, I think that's been kind of the cool part, is having multiple people that have invested in me that I get to keep up with.
That is pretty. You got that's friends. Those guys are all literally all across the country now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I mean, even Paul and Tina, Paul are very, like, they're still at Parkcrest. So they're heavily involved still, even in Journey Church and helping us get set up here too.
Hey, before we start talking about Journey Church, how did you is Parkcrest before Journey Church? Is Parkcrest the only place you've worked, or did you work anywhere else? Did you work at the college some?
I traveled and recruited for the school over summers, but I never like fully worked for the college. Right out of school, I just went right into I did a few things before going full time at Parkcrest, but like volunteer coordinator, did a few things in that realm before I went full time. But yeah, really, it's mainly only been Parkcrest.
Yeah. What all were you involved in at Parkrest? I know, Phil's a friend, so I'll say this: your dad. I'm sure you ran the church, right? It wasn't.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
something like that.
What
There's
all did
some
you do there?
tried. So, like I mentioned, I started out as volunteer coordinator. So I worked a lot with outreach ministries in the community. So plugging people from our church into the community. I began doing a lot of things on the front end when I started with like visuals, tech. We that's when we started like video announcements when those started to become really big. So started recording things. That was when churches really started using social. So getting involved in social media and a lot of that. And then while I was doing all of that part time, I was also serving as the middle school leader. So I was teaching the middle school, and I served as they have something called a junior deacon. So you kind of get experience as a deacon. So just a lot of different avenues that I served in. Some were paid, some weren't. And then I think it was 2015 is when the full time position opened to become student pastor.
What's it like? I know a lot of guys do this, and there are guys who considered hiring their sons or younger guys working for their dads. What's that dynamic like? Is it hard to separate when you go to the office that your dad's your boss and pastor, or is it easy to separate those things?
No, I think it was unique and it was a lot for me to learn and figure out what does it look like to have your dad as your pastor and as your boss, and that took a while for me to figure out. I think I took a lot of liberty on the front end working with my dad, especially in the office. Um, Maybe just being a little more bold or saying things that I probably wouldn't have if it was a boss or pastor that
Yeah.
wasn't my dad, you know, and so I had to learn that balance and it took me a little while to figure that out. But we figured it out, and I say it's mainly more on my end that I just had to mature and grow in what that looked like. And also too, I think while me and my dad are similar, we have some differences in the way we think about things. So I had to learn that like we work really well together. We both have different strengths, and so when we mesh well together, it actually is a good thing. Not I think for a while on the front end, sometimes I was able to butt heads pretty quick.
Hmm.
I think I was okay to buck the system because it was dad, and so I just had to learn that balance.
Know when to push, how far to push, and not. Uh, I know you did youth ministry. You did a lot of things, but youth ministry is kind of your heart and soul. What you did probably the most while you're there. What's a lesson or principle or a leadership idea that you learned in youth ministry that you've applied now as you're getting ready to launch this new church?
Oh man. Um, I I think one of the things that I learned, especially through student ministry, is how to delegate and how to bring people on board. And especially when I say delegate, but surrounding yourself with people that have giftings that maybe you don't, and then allowing them to live in that gifting because they're going to do much better in that role than you are.
Hmm.
So, really connecting with people that think differently, respond differently, and maybe would do things differently than I would, and then giving the ability to them to just run with something and see them really run with it, and really equip them, encourage them in it. So I think the delegation of like learning it in a student ministry has helped tremendously, especially where I'm at now, being able to bring people on board. I sometimes have a tendency to like keep things pretty tight, but then I remember there are people that are much more gifted in some of these areas and let them jump on board and be a part of the team. And they're probably going to do it better than me anyway.
So the last year, couple years, I know you've been planning, praying, thinking through planting a new church in Nashville. Kind of talk through the timeline, if you want, when God birthed that idea and that passion in you, and up to the point when you relocated and moved to Nashville. And I know at this point you've done a couple preview services, getting ready to launch, but kind of walk through what that looked like, what that the last couple of years.
So it actually started like back in 2009, and I'm not gonna, recap the whole past 15 years or so, but in 2009, I was in a chapel service at the college at Mission University when There's a speaker named Ed Stetzer who came in to be a part of a church planting emphasis week. And I remember him talking about the stats of how many people come to know Jesus through a new church plant rather than an existing church.
Hmm.
And it was really that week that I surrendered and said, I don't know when, but I know God's calling me to church planting, so I want to be a part of that. And then I went on staff at Parkcrest, knowing Parkcrest is all about church planting. They were praying even right then about who would be the next person we'd send out as a church plant. So I got to be involved in a church that views church planting as something they want to be heavily involved in. And so I served on staff for just over 11 years. And it was really in 2021 that I felt like it was the time to make the move on that call that God had on my life back in 2009. So I remember going to my dad, going to a few guys on our team and saying, I think this is the direction I want to move. Is that something we can work towards? So some of the executive team members and leaders knew that we started moving in that direction. And then it was in 2023 that we announced it to Parkcrest. And I started raising support from there, moved to Nashville in May of 2024. And even to the point where we're at now, I took the first 6, 8 months or so just to meet people, learn the culture, be in the city. And then we started Bible studies in January of 25. And then interest parties, we started doing those in March just to throw out the invite for people to join the launch team of a new church. And then in June, we moved to preview services. So June, July, and August, we had one preview service, or sometimes they're called soft launches. And then we launch the church on Sunday, September 7th here in just a couple weeks.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very exciting. Um, what would you say to, the pastors that are listening to this about, you were a part of a church that was fully committed to planting new churches. That you saw it with the one in Orlando even before you went.
Yeah.
Uh, why is it important for pastors and churches to have a focus and emphasis on planting other churches or birthing churches out of their church?
Well, I mean, I think that fits into what it looks like for our call to make disciples. Like, I don't know that we even essentially are called to plant churches, but what we're called to do is make disciples. And then when you make disciples and they're gathering, now you have an established church. So when it comes to fulfilling the Great Commission, I think that's a big part of the way in which we do it. Is having healthy churches start healthy churches. And it wasn't just an idea or a thought of like, yeah, let's start a church if we ever are afforded that opportunity. It was something that our church was actively praying over, who's the next person to go out. So their desire is to start a new church every 5 years. So when they're constantly praying about who would be going next, you're keeping that in front of people, that they're not only seeking God on it, but then there's people that are there saying, maybe God would call me to be a part of that. Maybe he'd call me to do it. So it's an easy, I say easy, but it's an easy next step is to say like, I want to pursue this because my church would be with me and behind me and supporting me. And it's not just me going rogue. It's like, this wasn't a bad thing when I told Parkcrest I wanted to start a church. They were all for it and they were all with me in every way possible, even to the point of having people move here with me from the church.
Wow, yeah, that's exciting, and that I think that's key. You got to have a church that will support that with you. What's a lesson that you're learning right now? What's God teaching you right now? You lived in Nashville a little over a year, getting ready to launch the church. What's something that God's teaching you personally right now?
I think over the past year, it's just been a reminder of a necessity for a reliance on the Lord. Serving in a church, sometimes I had the ability to be very comfortable in what I was doing and just not that I was being lazy with it, but I think the next step of starting a church is a reminder that this is not my church, this is the Lord's church.
Hmm.
And I want to do something that is in his will and what he's calling me to do and in the way he wants me to do it. So if I'm going to do that, I've got to hear from him and I've got to know from him this is exactly what he's wanting. And so it's forced me to be a lot more reliant on the Lord and know just the exact direction and call that he has on my life. And I think that's one of the reasons why even we haven't even launched yet, but to know that I've made it to this point, it's
Yeah.
always that reminder of like, okay, God called you to this, be faithful to it, and remember it's His church, so just continue to trust Him as you're faithful.
It wasn't too many years ago where a lot of people in the fellowship consider me one of the young guys. I don't think I can claim that anymore. But now you are one of the young guys in the fellowship. Why do you think it's important for young guys, young pastors, to stay plugged in and stay involved in the BBFI?
Mm. I don't know how much longer I have to be considered one of the young guys, you know what I mean? Um, I So just to rephrase like what you're saying why is it important that young guys stay involved, or why is it like
Yeah.
rephrase that for me
Yeah,
if you
why is
will.
it important for young guys to stay involved in the fellowship? What can the fellowship offer to younger guys? It's not just we're
Mm,
celebrating 75 years, and it's
yeah.
if it's going to be another 75 years, guys like you have to stay involved. But it's not just for the sake of the fellowship. What do you benefit? How do you gain from being a part of the fellowship?
Yeah, I like the two question that you put with that because I think it's both ways. Because the first question was why should young guys be involved, but the second one was what should the current guys be doing for young guys? And I think there needs to be a both on those. So I think it's important that for me, what I love is the investment of men and women in our movement that have invested in me. And so I'm very thankful for that. I've been a part of a fellowship church really my whole life. And so I'm very thankful for the legacy of that and the investment that they've had in me. So to me, I look at it as an opportunity to stick around and continue that investment. So I think there is something on the younger guys' side to say, hey, let's stick around and invest in those that have invested in us.
Mm,
I think it is also leading to that second question though too, knowing that the young guys have a place at the table and that there are leaders in our fellowship and people in our fellowship that are saying, "Hey, we want you at the table. We want to hear from you." Not that we're elevating you higher or us lower or vice versa, but like we're at the table in the conversation.
yeah.
Because you're right, without the younger guys, there won't be a fellowship in 75 years. So it is a faithfulness of young guys saying, I'm gonna stick around for those that have invested in me, but those that are currently leaders and I don't want to call them the older guys, but the more experienced guys saying, "Hey, we want you to be a part of this too, and not just in voice, but in action."
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Hey, I want to end it with a couple, some lighthearted questions. If you weren't in full-time vocational ministry, what would you be doing? Would you open your own fitness gym or what would you be doing if you weren't in full-time vocational ministry?
You know, I don't know if it's a gym or not, but I do think like that entrepreneurial spirit is in me, and I think I would probably, in some way, shape, or form, be starting my own business.
And I think that makes sense. Starting a church, you have to have that same kind of
Yeah,
that calling to start as a church planner. So, all right, I want to give you a
calling
few more.
craziness.
Go ahead.
I said calling craziness, whatever it is.
Yeah, a little of both. A little of both.
Yeah.
All right, I call these quick hitters. I want to give you a couple options. You tell me which one fits you best.
Great.
Are you someone that's early to arrive, or are you fashionably late?
I'm early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be there
Uh,
on time.
are you a night owl or an early bird?
Yeah, I'm staying up late.
Yeah. What's your average bedtime?
About 11.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you plan everything, or you just go with the flow?
Oh, I'm type A. I'm planning it all.
Yeah. So
Yep.
does it drive you crazy when plans don't go according to
Yes, it does. And that's hence the reliance on the Lord through church planting
yeah,
of
the
this
church
is not
plan
going to go the way you think it's going to
will
go.
stretch you in ways you never imagined, right?
Yeah.
Indoor activities or do you like outdoor activities?
Outdoor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to do outside, outdoors?
Honestly, anything. I mean, I'll work out, run, kayak, bike,
Hmm.
swim. I'll do a couple of those tomorrow, actually. Yeah, just being outside.
Yeah. What do you prefer? A good cheeseburger or some good barbecue?
You know, I'm gonna go cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got, how about a live concert or a live sporting event?
That one's tough. I love both. I could go to both, but I'd probably go sporting event.
So you've been traveling a lot, as a church planner, trying to church to raise support. What's the better road trip snack? Salty or sweet?
I'm probably gonna go towards salty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're on an airplane, you want a window seat or the aisle seat?
Aisle,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You don't care about
Yeah.
looking out the window?
No, no. I care about being able to go to the bathroom when I want to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Stretch one leg out at least at a time.
Yep.
Theme park or a national park?
Ooh, I go theme park.
Yeah. What's your
Yeah.
favorite?
Oh man, I mean, I've been down to Disney World. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy, but I actually really love Silver Dollar City.
Yeah.
I grew up in the Springfield area, so go get a funnel cake, watch a show, ride a ride.
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
hard to beat that for around here.
Yeah.
College sports or professional sports?
I probably care more about college sports.
Yeah. That's
College
hard that's hard
basketball.
in Nashville. It's hard to cheer for Vanderbilt, isn't it?
Yeah, it's well, I mean, they beat Alabama this year,
They did.
so
They
that's
did.
pretty wild. But yeah, you got
And they finished the remodel on their football stadium? I know they're working on it.
on the Titan Stadium.
No, 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 the Vanderbilt Stadium.
Oh, not that I know of. I
Yeah, they
know.
were updating it, their football stadium.
Yeah. Well, it's easier
Um,
to watch Vanderbilt than it is the Titans.
yeah, 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 yeah. Favorite meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
I'd go dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you cook at home or do you eat out more often?
Oh, I eat out way more. I hate cooking.
Yeah, I understand that. When you're studying, would you rather study in a coffee shop or in a quiet office?
I normally work in a coffee shop, but if I'm studying, I want somewhere quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question. If you had one meal for the rest of your life, is it pizza or tacos?
Oh, tacos.
Tacos?
Yeah, I don't like pizza anyway. Tacos are great.
Yeah. Every time I've asked that question to someone that was a youth pastor for a long time, they never say pizza. They got their fill
No
of
way.
pizza
We've had plenty.
in youth ministry days. So,
Yeah.
hey, I appreciate you taking the time, Blake, to be on this call with us. Any last words before we get off?
I would say thank you to those guys that have been an encouragement along the way on whether it was a text or a phone call or allowing me to be in your church. Thank you for being all about church planning, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all in September.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Thanks again for being on, Blake. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of the Fellowship Podcast. Looking forward to seeing everyone in Tyler, Texas in September. All right, God bless.